So good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday night Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. Thank you so much for coming. And bringing the important, this is so important to me, bringing the power of your presence, the power of your practices, that this is a gathering of people who do practices and then walk that into the world. No matter how much practice we do, a little practice, a lot of practice, the benefits of that, how it changes our state, how that opens our heart, how that expands our awareness. We can't help but walk that into the world. And the more we do that consciously, then the more we can transform the world around us, right? So thank you for being folks who do the practices and then join us on these Thursday evenings and lend the power of presence and practice to everyone. Including to those who are going to see this video at a later date. So, thank you. So tonight, we'll be doing the Heart Sutra in a little bit. First, we're going to be doing the opening mantras. So tonight is really a practice night. So we get into more of focused on actually doing some of the practices, like the Heart Sutra. I'm going to talk a little bit about there's actually a big holiday in the Eastern traditions called Guru Purnima that starts tomorrow and runs into Saturday. And I'll talk a little bit about that before we get into the Heart Sutra. But we're going to begin with the opening mantras. And so the opening mantras are a way of really bringing our mind into this present moment. And with that, all of our attention, all of our awareness. And in so doing, we're letting go of the mind's wanderings into the past, into the future, the things it's carried, being clear and present. That's where we find freedom. So we leave behind the past, we reel it in from the future, come into this present moment. In the present moment is the fullness, the absolute boundlessness, the fullness of being, the fullness of the divine. And the opening mantras invoke that and help bring our awareness to that. So we'll do the opening mantras, then we'll sit for a few moments just in the stillness. The gift of the power of mantra in helping to quiet the mind and open that spaciousness of awareness, that spaciousness of being. That's the root truth of who we are. So we'll begin with the opening mantras. Shri Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai Gajananam Bhotaganari Sevidam Kapita Jambo Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasukam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Parapankajam Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Shri Mata Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai. And once again, with all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. So tonight, number of things. You know, this big holiday in the Eastern traditions of Guru Purnima. So Guru is the teacher, you know, and the syllables, the GU and RU, Guru stands for darkness and light. So it said that the Guru is darkness, Guru is light. The Guru is one who takes us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of genuine knowledge, the fullness of that. And Purnima is a full moon day. So just as we were chanting Om Purnamada Purnamidam, Purnima, fullness, right? So it's the full moon day that is celebrating the nature of the Guru. And in the Eastern traditions, that's particularly a holiday that goes beyond most all holidays. I remember in the ashram in Ganeshpuri, India, the biggest holiday of the year was Guru Purnima. And tens of thousands of devotees and disciples would show up to the ashram to be with their Guru. And that central place that the master holds isn't just unique to the Eastern traditions. Recognize across traditions the importance of having a teacher, somebody who can help and guide us, mentor us, so that we don't just get endlessly caught in the mind. Even St. John of the Cross said that, you know, a seeker without a spiritual director or master is like a hot coal that's been removed from the fire, he said. It eventually grows cold and dies. But to be in the fire is to be in that relationship. However, as we have seen countless times, in this age of Kali Yuga, where the Dharma, including the Dharma of a Guru, has been degraded, too often we see that absolute authority, the absolute power that was given to the Guru in these kinds of traditions has been abused. And so even His Holiness the Dalai Lama has changed some of how he's messaged that. Early on, I remember once he was asked, what was the highest form of yoga? And he said, Guru Yoga. And then he quickly added, but not for Westerners. Their ego has a hard time with that authority. And that is something that, you know, it goes beyond just authority and power relationships. The work of Jung and looking at sort of the archetypes, these collective forms that Jung and great mythologists like Joseph Campbell have studied and examined. When you look at the archetype of the Guru, it's also representing the archetype of the divine, of God. And so the qualities of God have been transferred to the Guru. And in part that was on purpose, in the sense that the Guru was a step towards understanding the infinitude, the formlessness of the divine. But we had this intermediary, this sort of transitional object, this individual who would embody certain of those transcendent qualities and help direct a person towards knowing the fullness of the divine directly for themselves. And just as in, you know, across so many different traditions, the divine is one. And the archetypes of the divine as one, all-encompassing. Right? When it starts to take form, it becomes two, and typically the Holy Father, the Holy Mother. And so we see the masculine and the feminine emerge out of that, but still in their divine forms. So when we look for the archetype of how our ordinary mind is going to relate to the divine, it would do so through the help of the living presence as embodied by an individual, as a teacher, the Guru. And that's really what's being honored in Guru Purnima, is that the root energy of that is the infinite, is the divine. Muktananda used to talk about that the real Guru is Kundalini Shakti. That's a yogic term for the power of revelation and transformation, the power of grace that flows from the infinite to everyone and is already residing in each and every one of us. Awakening to that is then a transformative process in itself and empowers our practices in a different way. So we're really invited, and I think more than invited, it's necessary for us to go beyond these kinds of forms and even the traditions that have gotten kind of locked into those forms, to recognize that really what we're always honoring is that one, that infinite, that boundless one. And whether we have names for that as Shiva, as Kali, as the Divine Mother, as the Almighty Father, we know that those are names. They're helpful for the mind to have something to direct its attention to, but a name, it never can encapsulate, capture, grasp, bind the infinite. The form cannot do that. So we have to have that kind of discrimination. So great to honor the teacher and the things that we receive from a teacher and from teachings and ancient teachers that continue to pass on the wisdom and power through practices like Buddha and all the Buddhist literature, and all those who have kept it alive by continuing to realize the truth in themselves of those teachings, and so that the direct experience and the power of that direct experience is renewed by every individual who goes into those states, states that each one of us is capable of, knowing that and then walking that living truth into the world here and now. So that's really what we're honoring. And Guru Purnima is an extraordinary holiday for being able to honor and respect all those who have taught us. It's said that our first gurus are our mother and father, that they've taught us so many things, some of which we wish we hadn't learned and we have to get rid of. But we separate the wheat from the chaff and honor what was given that was of value. And so we're honoring teachers of all kinds and what we receive by their passing on wisdom and knowledge that helps to take us from darkness to the light. Sometimes it's relative darkness and relative light. Other times it's from the deep darkness of ignorance to the blazing glory, the radiance of our own infinite nature, because that's really what we want to know. That's what illuminates everything. So that's what we're celebrating when we're talking about Guru Purnima, and celebrating and having reverence for the gifts that we've received through teachers in many different ways. So Guru Purnima starts tomorrow and ends on Saturday, huge holiday, and just a nice time to reflect on the gifts that we've received in so many different ways from so many different teachers. Probably like you, I have very fond memories of even teachers that I had in middle school and high school who passed on insights and wisdom that I still recall today and still am grateful for. So many different ways we can honor that without getting lost in those archetypes and disempowered by those archetypes. And that's something that Jung was also pointing out, that when we fall into an archetype, we actually lose something. We lose part of our consciousness. And the invitation in sadhana and practice is to know our infinitude, even while knowing the limitations of a mind and a body, the limitations of a personality. But now, when through practice and the unfolding of grace and the transformation of this instrument, now we can then, in this body, in this mind, serve the infinite, see the infinite, relate to the infinite at all times, in all places, in all people, in all situations. That's what the power of grace and revelation is inviting us to know and live completely. So we live both from that highest absolute sense of unity consciousness, but also know that this domain of forms and limitations is also the unfolding of the infinite and the divine, that this instrument is a gift of the infinite and the divine. And when it lives in moment by moment relationship, conscious relationship, conscious connection to that, then it can more and more fully serve, more and more fully be free of the old patterns, the conditioned patterns of mind and body that prevent us from being able to both know and serve in the moment. And that's why we do the practices that keep clearing that out. So when we come to a practice like the Heart Sutra is an extraordinary practice, came from the living direct experience of Buddha, and then he was passing on the way, the means for doing that, and part of which is embodied in the practice of the Heart Sutra, chanting the Heart Sutra, invoking that pristine consciousness that in the Buddhist tradition we would call bodhicitta or Buddha mind, that can look from that place of absolute knowing beyond limitations and look at the fluctuations of mind that are appearing in this infinite expanse of consciousness. And from that perspective, that's what Buddha is speaking from and saying, oh yeah, well, anything you perceive can be categorized in one of these 5 sums, lumps. The skandhas, the 5 skandhas are just 5 heaps of sensory perception, thoughts, feelings, all the different things that occupy the mind. You're just giving them this structure. And that helps us to then differentiate, so that then when we sit and meditate and we're just watching, we could just have one category, just mind. That's often just, we don't even have to get into 5, just one. Oh yeah, anything I perceive is going to be some fluctuation of the mind. That's why in Patanjali, the Yoga Sutras, he's saying yoga, the state of union, is stilling all the thought waves of the mind. So Patanjali's Yoga Sutras defines that state of samadhi as chitta vrittis nirodha, means stilling the thought waves of the mind. Right? And then just that pristine, pure field, boundless field of awareness is clear and present, because our attention isn't getting locked up by a thought, a feeling, a memory, a sensation, a fantasy about tomorrow, a fantasy about the past, whatever it might be. So all those fluctuations that are happening are just mind. They're just vrittis. They're just fluctuations of the mind stuff, chitta. Right? So we can step back in the same way that Buddha described it, and then be able to perceive that directly for ourselves. And with that, gain some freedom. So our mind, our consciousness is infused to all those fluctuations of mind. That's what the practices keep inviting us to do, to let go and discover what's already fully present, the infinitude of being, our being, boundless being. And with that, the boundless qualities of being, the boundless compassion, the boundless wisdom, the boundless joy, the unshakable equanimity. Knowing that fully and directly, we're then empowered to walk that into the world. That's how then we come to fulfill the highest calling of a human birth, to know and to serve, to know the infinite as our own self, and to serve it, breath by breath, moment by moment, living that truth. It's effortful when we're not in that state, because then we're making the effort to practice. Right? But when we start to reside in that more and more, it becomes more and more effortless, because it's just the natural expression of who we are. So the Heart Sutra is a practice for, in a sense, also helping the mind by running through the mind these pure ideas. Pure meaning they're not caught in the belief of, oh, this thought is so important, this concept is so important, this perception is so important. That's the mind does that all the time. The Heart Sutra is going, not this, not that. You're not the eyes, you're not the ears, you're not the nose, you're not the mouth. There's no concept, it's going to negate everything, so that then there's just that spaciousness of being to revel in, to delight in. So when we do the Heart Sutra, that's what we do. We read it aloud 3 times, and then it ends with the summary mantra of the Heart Sutra, of the Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha, gone, gone, gone beyond, completely beyond. Hail the goer, Bodhi, Swaha, so mote it be. Well, you're the goer, you're the Buddha, coming to realize the fullness and the truth and reveling in that in the moment. So we're going to be doing the Heart Sutra, and then we're going to sit for a bit in the stillness, and then we're going to do a chant after that. And we're going to be coming back to do the chant, and in a way it's of honoring that root power of what's the nature of this power of transformation and revelation that we call the Guru. Whether we then think of that Guru as the Buddha, as the Christ, as the Divine Mother, whoever that is, we can have that in our mind. But that's what's referred to in this chant. We'll be doing a chant of Om Kali Ma and also of Om Namah Shivaya. So these root forms, expressions, vibrations, throbs of the infinite that takes the form of the mantra to take us beyond all forms and into the source. So we're going to do the Heart Sutra. We're going to do the Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha. I'm going to sit in the sublime stillness of that. And I'll ring a gong, come out just a little bit, and then we'll chant these chants, and then sit again. So, we're going to begin. Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live pratana paramita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond elusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajna paramita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha. Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live prajna paramita with no hindrance in the mind. no hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajna paramita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, there is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance and also no ending of ignorance to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live prajna paramita with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajna paramita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore, know that prajna paramita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore, set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. 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 So now we're going to be doing chants. And it's going to be a chant of Om Kalima, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, and Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Nama Om. And these are mantras that also give expression to that archetypal presence, the living presence of the infinite. Shiva, the auspicious one. And though we can conjure different figures that might fulfill that or recognize, classic depictions of Shiva, but Shiva just means the auspicious one. In fact, there's a chant, 1,000 names of Buddha, and in it is Shiva, the auspicious one. Buddha known as the auspicious one. So we want to go beyond those forms and really get to that essence, that quality of grace, the quality of the power of consciousness that delights in taking form, the form of mantra, as a way of giving us a vehicle to enter grace, to receive grace, to be transformed by that. So that as we're running that through our mind and our body, through the chant, through silent repetition in meditation or during the day, as a japa practice, a practice of repeating mantra and taking refuge in mantra, we're taking refuge in that boundless presence. That in that moment the mind can relate to, connect to, through the form of mantra, but if it really becomes absorbed in that, then it's going to dissolve all forms, including itself. The only way to know the divine is to dissolve into it. And that's the power of mantra, is as a vehicle to draw us into that dissolution. So it dissolves itself, and with it, our little self. So we come to rest in just the boundlessness of the truth of who we are, the truth of who everyone is in all of creation. So we're coming home to that. So we use the form of mantra, the form of chant, to invoke that, to become absorbed in that, to take refuge in that. And then in the stillness of the meditation afterwards, to just rest in that spaciousness of stillness and being. If the mind begins to move, rather than having it move amongst all the forest of thoughts and things it can get lost in, have it just keep coming back to Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, or Om Kalima, Om Kalima. And then it's protected, it's contained, it's held in the divine embrace. We're absorbed in that inner repetition of mantra. Then the mind is held in the divine embrace, and it can melt into that. So we'll begin this chant now, and then we'll sit in stillness. And at the end of meditation, again, I'll ring a gong. Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. Kalim Durga Namo Namah. Kalim Durga Namo Kali Durga Namo Namah. Kali Durga Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah. Shivaya Namah. So we end with this prayer. And may all our practices truly benefit everyone. And may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. So we take refuge in these divine forms, forms of grace, revelation, transformation, and the archetypal figures that represent that, and the throb of mantra that conveys that. And the more we can absorb our mind in that, the more we can fully, directly know that for ourselves, and then be empowered to walk it into the world. So keep coming back to the practices, keep coming back to mantra, and ultimately that stillness, the spaciousness that holds it all. Sounds arise in the stillness and dissolve. Thoughts arise in the stillness and dissolve. Sensations arise in the stillness and dissolve. All the comings and goings of all these ephemeral things held in the divine embrace of that stillness, that spaciousness of being. Come to know that. And you have the steady wisdom to live that into the world, to live the fullness of what your heart fully knows, is fully capable of, the boundless love, the boundless compassion. Live that into the world. So once again, with all my heart, with all my love, I want to thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for being ones who do these practices in your own ways, in your own amount of time, and live that into the world so that you can know it and see it reflected. We see it reflected in our relationships, in our work, in how we interact with others and perceive others and are perceived by others. All these little mirrors that can reflect that. Stay centered in the truth of your being and see the light of that reflected in the mirrors of the world. So, thank you for coming.